Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. So we are on day 90 of this series where I am selling options for income. Now, my last video I actually did was 5 days ago, and I've not done another video since. And I'm going to show you and explain to you exactly why in this video. What in the heck has been going on? Now, mind you, I have been documenting practically every single trade that I have made, just about, with the exception of maybe one or two. But what in the world has happened in the past 5 days that I have not documented any further trades? Now, keep in mind, my entire reason for doing this is because I want to be able to prove that you can sell options for income and that you can earn a passive, nearly passive income selling options. But at the same time, I want to be able to document this journey. We're not looking at charts, looking behind the scenes, looking in hindsight, looking at hypothetical situations, when the chart goes up, we sell, we buy, or we sell. When the chart goes down, we sell or we buy, or we get this indicator that says this, and we do this thing. And if you would have looked at this trend line and that trend line, and there, you notice oftentimes content like this, people are looking in the past at past charts. I'm not saying that there's not some validity to that, but it's very different when you're using your real money in real time. I am trading a $20,000 plus account in real time on this channel. We are on day 90 of this journey right now today, and I felt like it is important that I go ahead and update you. But before we get to that, let me just say this. We're using the Derive platform. They are not sponsoring this content. I will put a link in the description down below if you want to check out Derive. This is the platform that we're using to sell options. We are selling options here on the Derive platform. Why do we use Derive? Because it is a platform that is mostly decentralized. So there's a lot less centralized controls and whatnot. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Let me just show you where we're at. And by the way, by the end of this video, I'm going to actually show you how we've earned a little over $300 in passive income in the past 5 days or so. Passive income in the past 5 days. But by the way, if you didn't see my last video I did 5 days ago, I actually made about $100 on camera. I'll try to be sure to link that above up in the cards. You can check it out. But this is essentially an update to that video. So in that video, if you remember, let me come over here to home. Let's come over here to our positions. So as you can see in that video, we had a few red positions. Again, you can go watch that video, and you can see that everything has went up in value. It's fully green except this little position here, which we're not too worried about. I'll show you why here in a moment. But what's going to happen when you sell options, essentially what happens is money goes to your collateral immediately when you sell options. So let's just say, like here, I sold this option $24. When at the time that I sold it, I got $24 here, and then this was going to be in the red based on any the spread essentially. Let me show you what the spread is. So if I was to hypothetically, let's just come over here. If I was going to sell this call option, which means it's above the current price, if I was going to sell this call option, then if I sold it immediately, then what would happen is I would get $31 added to my collateral. But notice that there's a $1.09 here difference. Plus, they may put the trading fee in there too, which may be another dollar or whatever in trading fees. But what would happen is if I sold this, I would immediately have $31 added to my collateral value. Excuse me. But you would be seeing it showing up as red, similar to how this one shows up. And if the market moves against you, it will continue to be red until that option is moving back in your favor. And of course, we always sell options with greater than a 90% chance of success. We know when we sell options what the odds of success of that trade are. Like, that is mathematical. I mean, like, that's pretty obvious. So what happens is then you have to, when you sell an option, there's always margin back in that option, right? But that margin gets released, a little bit of it gets released the closer you get to the expiration date, as long as it's not in the red, but the full amount will get released at the time of expiration. So right now, as you can see here, we have the 27th is coming up this Friday, and all of this will get released back to our buying power. It's going to be a big day. Stay tuned for that. We're going to sell some options. We'll make a fair amount of money that day on camera, most likely. So stay tuned for that. But we'll end up with roughly $7,000 or $8,000 right here in our buying power. Right now, we don't have any buying power, so I'm not going to sell any options. But I'm going to show you in a moment how we have been earning money over the past 5 days or so. Like I said, about $325, I believe, if I did the math right. I'll do it here. I'll do the math on camera here for you in a moment. But let me just show you this position here. This is the only one that's in a little bit of trouble. Let's go options. That's by the way, let me just, I'm always trying to re-show this stuff because I know sometimes people don't understand options. They're here for the very first time. Subscribe to the channel. I kind of give away tidbits in just about every single video as far as what we're doing and how we're doing it. So here we sold a $3,500 call on November 8th, meaning that as long as the price on November 8th is below $3,500, we will get to keep the amount of money that we sold that call for, which we sold it for, if you were to basically 5 times 36, whatever that is, that's minus $6.42 is roughly about what we sold that call for. That's what got added to our collateral. We will get to keep the full amount once we get to November 8th, as long as that price stays below 3,500. If it goes above 3,500 or gets close, if it even gets within shooting distance of 3,500, we can adjust that trade. Many of you have watched me adjust several trades before, and that's not a problem. We'll basically just roll it out to a different time in the future. Most of the time, that's going to solve any problems, and this is quite easy to do. Now, let's go here. Let's just show you what are the odds that we lose on this trade by November 8th. So what are the chances, or I should say, what are the chances that we win on this trade, essentially? So November 8th, $3,500 call. Let's go look at that right now. November 8th, call, 3,500 is right here. That November 8th, 3,500. Here we go. So this is a 14 delta. We have a roughly, it's not exact, it's always within a couple of percentage points or so, but basically we have about a 14% chance of losing money, or another way, we have a 76% chance of winning that trade. 76% chance. Options are the only vehicle I know of in the stock market where you can know statistically at the time of the trade what are your odds of winning the trade. And right here we have about a 76% chance of winning this trade, give or take a percentage point or two, because delta is not an exact inverse relationship, but it's pretty close. All we're doing is with that particular position is we're just letting time pass, because as time passed, that option, if you were to buy it, it would cost you $37. If you were to sell it right now, you could sell it for $36, $36.50. But what happens is as time passes, as long as the price doesn't move up and down too much, then you get theta decay. And this value will slowly start dropping and start dropping and start dropping and start dropping. That's what you're seeing right here. A lot of these are expiring because of theta decay. Now, if the price moves, this is a call. So if the price drops, then you also see this price go down as well. But the great thing about options is the price doesn't have to move at all for us to still end up winning. Like with options, it's kind of fascinating. It's like you're always pulling capital out of the market no matter what, the way it works. Because as long as you're getting theta decay, time decay on the price is called theta decay. As long as time's passing and you're getting closer and closer to November 8th, then essentially you're going to win. You're going to win that trade completely, be able to keep all those funds. So be sure to subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Fridays, specifically if you like seeing transparent trading like this. But I believe it's Friday is when you're going to see me make some decent moves. I'm going to make probably close to $100 on Friday. We'll have to wait and see, maybe more. In our last video, let's look at where our account value was. This is 5 days ago. This is that video right here, 5 days ago, making real money on camera, selling options. But we had $20,495 was our account value. Collateral value is still the same. But as time passes, this account value keeps moving up, getting closer and closer. So right now, if you just take a look, right now, if we just look at our calculator, let's just say 495. We're at 822. Let's just say 820. 820 minus 495 equals $325 is what we made over the past 5 days. Divide by 5. We've made $65 a day for the past 5 days, essentially, because our account value keeps going up, And essentially, it's never going to equal our collateral value, because why? Because as soon as these expire on the 27th and this buying power is here, I'll sell more options. And I mean, listen, if it's $8,000, usually I'm making about 1% a week. So even if I use the whole $8,000, which I'm not going to, but even if I used it all for 1 week, that's going to be $80. If I used it for 2 weeks, that's going to be roughly, if I sold options 2 weeks out, that's going to be roughly $160. 3 weeks out, you can do the math. That could be up to 240. So here's what I will tell you. By Friday, you will watch me on camera sell anywhere between $80 to $240 worth of options, probably on Friday. That is the plan. Depending on what the market does, and if it does something crazy, maybe that doesn't happen, but most likely that's what's going to be happening on Friday. So if you want to see that, do me a favor and be sure to hit that subscribe button, click the bell notification icon, and click all. If you want to check out Derive, I'll put a link in the description. It is an affiliate link. But it's important that you have your MetaMask set up, and all you have to do is, to be able to get started, you come to deposit. And once you come to deposit, I recommend that well, it doesn't matter what network you use. I recommend that you deposit with USDC as your collateral. And the reason being is because, particularly if you're new, by the way, when I'm traveling and I'm in the States or Australia or whatever, I can use a VPN just fine to access Derive with no problem. They don't KYC or anything. They just what do you say? Location restrict, IP restriction or whatever. But just a heads up, I think my VPN is in the comment or in the description as well. I recommend to use your USDC for collateral. The reason that I recommend that, or USDT, some sort of stable coin. Maybe SDI or SUSDE, whatever, some sort of stable coin. The reason I recommend that as your collateral is because you can kind of get in trouble with your margin up here. If you have, let's just say you had $20,000 worth of Ethereum, but Ethereum dropped by 5% or 10%, it could all of a sudden, you go from having buying power, you've got to worry about more than just options. If you want to make profits and then, buy Ethereum, then feel free to do that. But I recommend I recommend your collateral value, for most people to be in US dollars. So all you got to do is deposit US dollars in here, and then you're able to essentially start trading. So if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments, ladies and gentlemen. Otherwise, stay tuned for the next video. Also, take a look at the end screen. I'll put the video up there showing you how I could potentially scale this if I chose to up to $1 million potentially. It's just hypothetical, it's just inspirational, but I show you the math on my projected returns and what it would take. It's probably going to blow your mind. So go ahead and take a look at that video. If you want to see the last video I did where I made $100 on a camera, I'll put that on the end screen as well.